The first light of dawn spreads gently across a vast lake. The water is still, reflecting a sky painted in pale gold and soft blue. Thin layers of mist hover just above the surface, drifting slowly as if the lake itself is breathing. You are standing at the edge of this world, where land gives way to water, where silence carries the promise of something immense just beyond sight. Then, gradually, shapes begin to emerge. Across the lake, rising from the water itself, is a city unlike anything you have ever seen. White stone structures catch the morning light. Towers and temples rise in careful symmetry. Long, straight causeways stretch like veins across the lake, connecting this floating world to the distant shores. Canoes glide silently along narrow canals. The city appears to float, suspended between water and sky. This is Tenochtitlan. It is the year 1500, and you are witnessing one of the most advanced and powerful cities in the world, at the height of its existence, just before everything changes. As the sun climbs higher, the city begins to awaken. From this distance, you can see movement spreading through its streets. Smoke rises in thin streams from household fires. The sound of water, wood, and human voices begins to replace the quiet of dawn. The city is alive, and it is vast. To understand this place, you must first understand where you stand. This is the Valley of Mexico, a high plateau surrounded by mountains and volcanoes. At its center lies Lake Texcoco, a large, shallow body of water that defines the entire region. The land here is not stable or dry in the way you might expect. It is shifting, marshy, unpredictable. And yet, in the middle of this lake, the Aztec people have built their capital. Not beside the water, not near it, but directly within it. Tenochtitlan was not always a city. Long before its temples rose above the lake, the people who would become the Aztecs were wanderers. They moved through harsh landscapes, searching for a place they believed had been promised to them. Their journey was guided by signs, by stories, by a vision passed down through generations. That vision was simple but powerful. They would know their home when they saw an eagle perched on a cactus, holding a serpent in its beak. For years they searched, and then, on a small, swampy island in Lake Texcoco, they found it. To others, this place might have seemed impossible. The ground was soft. The water was everywhere. There was little room to build, little stability to rely on. But to the Aztecs, this was not a limitation. It was a challenge. And from that challenge, they began to create something extraordinary. At first, the settlement was small. Simple structures, narrow paths, a community held together by necessity and belief. But over time, with careful planning and relentless effort, the island expanded. The people reshaped the land itself using stone, soil, and engineering techniques that allowed them to build outward into the lake. They created chinampas, artificial islands formed by layering mud, vegetation, and reeds. These floating gardens were anchored to the lakebed and carefully maintained. They became fertile fields, producing crops in abundance. Corn, beans, squash, and flowers grew in neat rows, surrounded by water channels that allowed easy transport. From above, the landscape began to change. The island was no longer a single point in the water. It became a network, a system, a living structure that expanded year after year. And at its center, the city took shape. By 1500, Tenochtitlan had grown into a vast urban center, with a population that may have reached hundreds of thousands. Its layout was not random. It was carefully designed, with a sense of order that reflected both practical needs and deeper beliefs. You begin to move closer now. As you approach along one of the great causeways, the scale of the city becomes clear. The road is wide and straight, built from stone and raised above the water. On either side, the lake stretches out, dotted with canoes carrying people, goods, and stories from one part of the city to another. The causeway is not just a road. It is a lifeline. It connects Tenochtitlan to the mainland, allowing trade, communication, and movement. There are several of these causeways, each carefully constructed, each protected by gates and bridges that can be removed if needed. The city is not only beautiful, it is defensible. As you enter the city, the sound changes. Water flows gently through canals that run alongside the streets. In some places, the canals replace the streets entirely. Canoes move past you, guided with quiet skill. People step in and out of them as naturally as you might step onto a road. The city is built for water as much as for land. Look around. The buildings are made from stone and adobe, their surfaces smooth and clean. Many are painted in bright colors. Red, blue, and white tones catch the sunlight. Doorways are open, revealing glimpses of daily life inside. Families prepare food. Children move through courtyards. Artisans work with careful focus, shaping materials into objects of use and beauty. This is not a silent city of monuments. It is a living place. You walk further, and the streets become busier. People move with purpose. Traders carry goods. Priests walk in distinctive garments. Nobles pass by, their presence marked by fine clothing and calm authority. The air carries a mix of scents: cooked maize, fresh flowers, damp earth, and smoke. In the distance, rising above everything else, you see the heart of the city, the sacred precinct. It is a large, open area filled with temples, shrines, and ceremonial buildings. At its center stands the Templo Mayor, the Great Temple. It rises in stepped layers, its stone surfaces leading upward to twin sanctuaries at the top. From here, rituals are performed that connect the city to the gods they believe sustain the world. As you approach, the atmosphere changes again. There is a sense of order, of seriousness. The space is carefully maintained. The ground is swept clean. The structures are aligned with precision. This is not just a place of worship. It is the center of the Aztec universe. Here, the physical and the spiritual meet. The Aztecs believe that the world exists in cycles, that the sun requires nourishment to continue its journey across the sky. Their rituals are not simply symbolic. They are seen as necessary, as acts that maintain balance and prevent collapse. You stand at the base of the temple and look up. The steps are steep. The climb is long. At the top, figures move against the sky, small but deliberate. The city spreads out behind you, a vast network of water and stone, order and life. But this is only one part of Tenochtitlan. Beyond the temples, the city continues, expanding into districts and neighborhoods, each with its own character. Some areas are filled with workshops, where craftsmen produce tools, clothing, and ornaments. Others are quieter, residential spaces where families live and gather. And then there is the market. You begin to hear it before you see it. A low, constant hum, rising and falling like the sound of waves. Voices overlapping, calling out, negotiating, laughing. As you step into the marketplace of Tlatelolco, the scale of it becomes overwhelming. This is one of the largest markets in the world at this time. Thousands of people gather here every day. Goods from across the region are brought together in a vast, organized space. Food, textiles, pottery, tools, precious stones, feathers, and more. Each item has its place. Each trade follows a system. Look closely. There is no chaos here. There are rules. Officials move through the crowd, ensuring fairness, resolving disputes. Measurements are standardized. Prices are understood. The market is not just a place of exchange. It is a reflection of the city's structure, its discipline, its reach. You move through the rows. A woman grinds maize into dough. A man arranges bright feathers into intricate patterns. Another carefully displays cacao beans used as currency. Nearby, a group of traders discusses distant regions, places connected to Tenochtitlan through networks of tribute and alliance. The city is not isolated. It is the center of an empire. From here, influence spreads across vast distances. Goods flow inward. Authority extends outward. Tenochtitlan is both a destination and a source, a place where power is visible in every detail. As the day continues, the light shifts again. Shadows grow longer. The intensity of the midday sun softens. The city begins to slow, but it does not become quiet. There is always movement, always life. The canals continue to carry boats. The streets remain active. The temples prepare for evening rituals. You pause and look back across the water. From this vantage point, Tenochtitlan appears almost unreal. A city rising from a lake, built with intention, sustained by knowledge, shaped by belief. It is a place where engineering, culture, and spirituality are woven together into a single, continuous experience. And yet, beneath this calm, beneath this order, there is a tension that cannot be seen. The world beyond the lake is changing. Far to the east, beyond mountains and forests, beyond lands the people here have never seen, forces are moving. Ships cross an ocean. New intentions take shape. Paths are being set that will lead, inevitably, to this place. But here, in the year 1500, none of that has arrived yet. The city stands complete, confident, alive. And for this moment, suspended in time, Tenochtitlan is exactly what it was meant to be. The sun lowers slowly behind the distant mountains, casting long shadows across the surface of Lake Texcoco. The water reflects the deepening colors of the sky, now shifting from gold to amber, from amber to a quiet red. From within the city, a different rhythm begins to emerge. The intensity of the day softens, but the life of Tenochtitlan does not fade, transforms. You are standing once again within the city, but now the light is warmer, softer. The air cools slightly. The sounds change. Where the market once roared with voices, there is now a calmer movement. People return to their homes. Fires are lit. Smoke rises in thin, drifting lines, carrying the scent of evening meals. Imagine walking through one of the residential districts. The houses are modest but carefully built. Courtyards open into shared spaces. Families gather close together. A woman kneels beside a flat stone, grinding maize into fine dough. The steady rhythm of her hands is quiet, almost meditative. Nearby, a child watches, learning without instruction. An older man repairs a tool, his movements slow but precise, shaped by years of practice. Daily life here is not separate from the city's greatness. It is the foundation of it. Food is prepared with care. Corn is shaped into tortillas. Beans simmer in clay pots. Chili adds heat and depth. These are simple ingredients, but they sustain a population of remarkable size. The system that feeds the city is vast, organized, and deeply connected to the land and water that surround it. Look beyond the houses. The chinampas continue to produce, even as the sun sets. Farmers move through narrow strips of land, checking crops, adjusting water flow, preparing for the next day. These floating fields are not temporary solutions. They are permanent, engineered landscapes that allow continuous cultivation. Year after year, they provide stability in a place that once seemed unstable. This is not just agriculture. It is control over nature itself. As darkness approaches, you move back toward the center of the city. The sacred precinct is still active. Torches are lit along the pathways. Their flames flicker in the evening air, casting moving shadows across the stone surfaces. The temples stand taller now, their outlines sharper against the darkening sky. The ceremony is beginning. You stand at a distance, watching as priests prepare. Their garments are detailed, layered with meaning. Feathers, symbols, colors that represent forces beyond the physical world. The steps of the Templo Mayor are illuminated by firelight. Figures ascend slowly, deliberately. The city grows quieter, not silent but attentive. For the people of Tenochtitlan, these rituals are not distant events. They are part of existence itself. The cycles of day and night, of sun and rain, of growth and decay, are understood as fragile balances. The ceremonies you are witnessing are acts of preservation. They are meant to ensure continuity, to prevent disorder. Now imagine standing among the crowd. You feel the collective focus, the stillness that settles as the ritual reaches its peak. The firelight reflects in hundreds of eyes, all directed upward. The connection between the people and their beliefs is not abstract. It is immediate, visible, shared. This is a city that understands itself as part of something larger, not separate from the world, but responsible for it. And yet, within this sense of order, there are layers of complexity that shape every part of life. Tenochtitlan is not only a cultural and spiritual center. It is a political capital. Power is organized, structured, and maintained through systems that extend far beyond the city itself. At the highest level stands the ruler, the Huitzilopochtli. He is not simply a king. He is a speaker, a leader, a figure who represents both authority and responsibility. His decisions affect not only the people within the city, but countless others across the empire. You move toward the palace. The structure is large, composed of multiple courtyards and rooms. It is not excessive in decoration, but it is clearly distinct. Guards stand at its entrances. Inside, officials move through corridors, carrying messages, organizing information, maintaining the functions of governance. Here, tribute is recorded. Goods arrive from distant regions. Textiles, food, materials, crafted objects. These are not random exchanges. They are part of a system that binds different territories to Tenochtitlan. In return, the city offers protection, structure, and a place within a larger network. But this system is not always balanced. Some regions provide willingly, others do so under pressure. The expansion of the empire has brought both stability and tension. Victories in battle have increased influence, but they have also created resentment. You begin to see that this city, for all its beauty and order, exists within a delicate equilibrium. The strength is real, but so are the forces that challenge it. As night fully settles, the sky above Tenochtitlan becomes clear. Stars appear, sharp and numerous. The lake reflects them faintly, creating a sense of depth that extends both upward and downward. The city is now illuminated by firelight and moonlight, a combination that gives everything a softer edge. You walk along a canal. The water is dark, but not still. A canoe passes quietly, guided by a single figure. The sound of the paddle is gentle, rhythmic. In the distance, you hear music. Soft instruments, voices carrying through the night air. Life continues, even in these quieter hours. This is a city that does not sleep in the way you might expect. There are always people awake, always movement, always purpose. And yet, there is also reflection. For a moment, you stop and look outward, beyond the city, beyond the lake. The mountains stand in silence. The world feels contained, complete. Everything necessary for life, for meaning, for continuity, seems to exist within this space. But history does not remain still. Beyond the horizon, events are already unfolding. In the year 1500, across the ocean, different societies are expanding, exploring, driven by their own beliefs and ambitions. Ships are being built, routes are being mapped, encounters are becoming inevitable. None of this is visible here, not yet. In Tenochtitlan, the systems continue to function. The markets will open again at dawn. The farmers will tend their fields. The priests will perform their rituals. The rulers will govern. The people will live their lives within a structure that feels permanent. But permanence, as history shows, is often an illusion. Imagine returning to the edge of the city, where the causeway meets the mainland. You turn back for one last look. The temples rise above the skyline, steady and defined. The canals form a network of quiet paths. The houses cluster together, filled with life. The entire city rests upon the water, supported by knowledge, effort, and belief. It is a remarkable achievement, not just in its scale but in its intention. Tenochtitlan is not accidental. It is designed. Every element, from the layout of its streets to the structure of its society, reflects choices made over generations. It is a place where human ingenuity has transformed an environment into a thriving center of life. And yet, as you stand here, you begin to understand something deeper. The strength of the city lies not only in its buildings or its systems. It lies in its people, in their ability to adapt, to create, to believe in something larger than themselves. These qualities have built Tenochtitlan, and they will shape what comes next. Because soon, the world beyond the lake will arrive at its shores. New voices will enter this space. New forces will challenge the balance that has been carefully maintained. The city will face a future it cannot yet see. But for now, in this moment, in the year 1500, Tenochtitlan stands complete. Alive with movement, rich with meaning, suspended between water and sky, a city at its peak, a world on the edge of change. And as the night deepens, the reflection of its temples shimmers across the lake, as if the city itself is holding on to this moment, aware, perhaps, that it will not last forever.